Ja, waar heb je geparkeerd? Dan bij de kerkhof?
The Lama is there. Oh, we take a few minutes. Elle est arrivée.
Then try to don't kick anything.
No.
You can kick it. It's just a piece of chips. A piece of that plastic. See?
Even yes, in a vitality of natural state.
It's.
She has arrived.
Ja, is goed.
Look out for the threads that you can
Well, I need some things from it. Okay. But thank you. Make yourselves comfortable, please.
Would you like to drink coffee or water?
I could use a cup of coffee. A lot. Would you pour?
Yes.
Good. What are they?
Cookies and nuts and
Ah, no, leave them down there. Do you have a little sugar
I will.
or something? If not, it's okay.
Oh,
Okay, let's put things a little bit together. Oh, lovely. This will work.
Yeah, made them. Gave them everybody else.
Yeah, you'll have to correct one piece in your mind because with different lineages, white and blue switch. I'm just going to move this until I start.
Yes, we can see you.
And it seems warm in here. Might we open windows? Now I'm going to need 2 people of this place, this specific place, to assist me this evening. Can I see 2 hands of people who are of this place? I don't mean Amsterdam, I mean this center here. Okay, you're one and you're the next. So I'll signal to you when it's time, and then if the 2 of you would be kind enough to take the spirit offerings out for me. Do you both know how to do that?
I did it last year.
Okay. And yourself?
I remember what kind of instructions you gave last year.
Okay. Half a spoon. Yes, just that's perfect. Pins Demero. Which is way too big for my little tiny hands. So it's kind of fun. Ah, yes. Can we move these a little bit more centrally and take the tops off? Just move the whole thing over. So I can, yeah, now I can reach. And then the red napkins can go elsewhere. Perfect. What is the round ball?
The webcast.
Sound?
Yeah. Recording.
Okay. So we can give it an inch. That should
Move it around.
still work. Yeah. Wee. Dombala me sanje rimboche, chopala me tamcho rimboche, drumbala me gedun rimboche, chabne kunchok sumla chopahabu. Bala me sanje rimboche, chumbala me tamcho rimboche, drumbala me gedun rimboche, chamne kunchok sumla chopavu. Dombala me sanje rimboche, chumbala me tamcho rimboche, drumbala me gedun rimboche, chabne kunchok sumla chopahabu. Oops. You can take the offerings now. Yulde ragne dakchorche Allah je se pucho pulden bulwe nam jorn la sundang drupo dang sancheten peje pechen lezo chenam chu chang solwa debe tu dakso gon la ne pe sapso su ne dang ulpan tapsu shewa dang chudang tashi pilwe ze du so Okay, gonna have one of those days, are we? Okay, it's working. Now let's untangle the bumpa from everything else. Just right there. Just where it is. Now that needs to stay on, but you can make it so it's not quite as drapey. That's its clothing. Chuku kundo zangbo gombo ye dorji sampagarab dorji dang shere singe bardu shin labde dedam abzantata tusum chi Dzogchen jupe lamala solo deb Ergin pema junila solo deb Dorje chang chitila narudang Marpa mila gompo tsatsapa Na pupadang palden drupa suk Kargyu lama namla solo deb Chogchen lama namla solo deb Ochen lama namla solo deb Druchen lama namla solo deb Shakchen lama namla solo deb Nyen du dang yung dron lama namla solo deb Palkondu zhongdang yerme pa Gungarab dorji shintrag pa Jetidang nisume pai Palamanam che tente chong So, what chapter were we on?
7.
Thank you.
Somewhere in the middle. We started the end of this.
Yeah, 7 is the number I need. Mind. Let your mind, the thinker of your thoughts, notice your mind. You. The awareness that looks out from behind your eyes. The seer, feeler, perceiver. The one who feels, sees, and perceives. Notice where your thoughts be happening. Do not follow a rumor about where they are happening intellectually. Actually feel around for it. There's lots of rumors. Rumors about brains and hearts and even about livers as the source of thoughts, depending on your culture. Rather than take the hearsay of the rumor, have a look for yourself. When you are thinking, which we all do most all the time, where are you doing that? See if you can perceptually, experientially rather than intellectually find it. Sem kasemta. Mind seeing mind. No thing to see or be seen. Beyond thingness, where all ises and isn'ts aren't. Rest in the natural state while enjoying this poetry. Emaho. Once more, listen up, my noble sons and daughters. The three modes of Buddha being, its essence, its nature, and its responsiveness, and the 5 modes of being, as well as the 5 aspects of primal awareness, are all complete and perfected in the naturally luminous intrinsic awareness of the here and now. That was some big words. The meaning is actually quite simple. When we talk about refuge, we say, and we're speaking symbolically, I take refuge in the 3 jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. But actually, Buddha, the man, Dharma, his teachings, and Sangha, who practice these teachings given by Buddha, born a man, are symbols, not actual things in which you take refuge. You really could sit on my lap. What they symbolize is simply the infinitude of your own mind. Mind seeing mind in this moment, just as it is. Don't make something out of it. Infinite vast expanse. Longjanarabjam. Boundaries. Here's, there's. Nows and thens. Are thoughts, are they not? You think now. You think back then. Over there. Right here. These are all thoughts. Where are you thinking them? Look and see. When you think here, is the thought here? When you think there, is the thought there? Or is it here also? When you think now, is the thought now? When you think back then, is the thought back then, or is the thought now of back then? Here, where does it end? Here? An arm's reach? As far as the room extends is here. We are all here together. Amsterdam, we are all in Amsterdam here together. We are all on Earth here together. We are all in the galaxy, also known as the Milky Way, here together. We are all on the galaxy known as the Milky Way, which is part of the local group orbiting the still point here together. How big is here? Thoughts, you see, they don't have a size. Think big. Think a little tiny thought of big. Think a really big, loud, bright thought of tiny. Thoughts do not have an inherent size to them. What color are your thoughts? Think of blue. Try red. How about puce? It's a funky artist color. Chartreuse, perhaps? Did the thoughts change color, or were you thinking of color? Where are you doing that thinking? When you sit with your channels in alignment, your teeth and lips not completely clenched closed, but slightly open, the line of your gaze, of your eyes following your nose outward and down, the focus of your eyeballs released and relaxed, so you are not focusing your eyes on an object. Silently, without talking to yourself about it or intellectualizing, feel around for your thoughts. Some people find this easier if they think in pictures. Think of a shoe. Where's the picture? Think of a railway station. Stand in it, right in the middle of the railway station, and imagine it all around you. Where's the picture? That won't fit between your ears. Shoe might, but train station won't. Where is it? Unfocus your eyeballs, which is easier if you take your glasses off. Feel, perceive where the picture is happening. The picture is a thought made by your imagination. Your imagination is part of your mind. It is your mind in your mind. The thought is in your mind. Thoughts arise in minds. We define mind as where the thinking happens. And where is that? Look and look again. This is the inner mind Rushen from the text Yeshe Lama. It is the preliminary to practicing Dzogchen. This text flight of the Garuda is a Dzogchen text. Therefore, it is necessary that you first seek your mind. And in the not finding of a place, a color, a characteristic, an infinite open, awake, aware, infinity is noticed. Whatever you're thinking, seashells or sailing ships, memories of the past, plans for the future, sensations of the present, whatever thought arises in your mind, that infinite vast expanse, in all its lucidity, is unchanged. Just as the sky is not blown about by the wind, the thoughts do not affect that infinite vast open awareness. They only affect the thinking, the feeling, and the perceiving. In Mahamudra, we call that utterly adamantine, unshakable, primordially pure, unchanged, unchanging, unlimited open awareness stillness, 'cause it don't move. And we call all the stuff that arises in mind and dissolves in mind and is made of nothing other than mind, the stuff that comes and goes, like your thoughts, your feelings, your perceptions, your hopes, your fears, your plans, your memories, all that stuff we call the moving. 'Cause it moves, it changes, it is impermanent. The key to Dzogchen is to recognize the stillness, to notice it. 'Cause, see, we're all so damn busy with the moving, with trying to get our ducks in a row. Do you have that saying in Holland? I need to get my ducks in a row.
Alles op een rijtje hebben. We don't do ducks.
Yeah, but you have something equivalent. So we're always looking at this or that with our attention. We're always paying attention to what we're thinking, how we feel about the story we're telling ourselves with our thoughts, what we're perceiving with our sense organs, and how we'd like to change that. Oh, is it warm? Am I perceiving it warm? Let's open the window further. Oh, am I too cold? Let's put on a sweater. We're always trying to adjust things. And so we never pay attention to our natural, innate, open awareness, which is always present. We just go right on by it with our attention and miss it utterly. Oops. And there you have one of the basic differences between all Buddhas of the 4 times and all sentient beings of the 3 realms. The sentient beings are obsessed, compulsively, continuously obsessed with the moving. Buddhas rest in the stillness as the stillness without rejecting or grasping the moving. They no longer are obsessed with it. Can you feel the difference? Can you see your own compulsive obsession with all the stuff that comes and goes? Your job, your family, all the stuff that's born and dies. Yourself, your clothes, your hair, your comfort, your coffee. Your stuff. To practice Trekchö, cutting through, because it cuts through the crap, all our own personal crap, which is moving, by noticing the stillness in which the moving dances. When we speak about the three modes of Buddha being, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, which is symbolized by Buddha, symbolizes Dharmakaya. Dharma, the teachings, symbolize Sambhogakaya. Sangha, the beings who practice, symbolize Nirmanakaya. Your object of refuge, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, is the nature of your own mind. Notice again, by aligning your channels and shutting up, talking to yourself internally for a moment. Notice the infinite openness of mind itself. Let the thoughts do as they will, arising and vanishing. Let the feelings about the stories of the thoughts do as they will, arising and vanishing. Let the perceptions of trees and mountains, of coffee and microphones, do as it will. Gently, don't shift your attention. Open the orifice of your attention to include the infinite, measureless, indefinable, indescribable, natural expanse of innate mind. Stillness. Dharmakaya, nature of mind. Oh, but please do not miss that stillness is not just a big dead old nothing. It's lucid. It's vital and alive. It's awake, it's aware. Feel the awareness that looks out from behind your own eyeballs. Not what it's thinking, but its ability to think. Luminous, clear light nature. Transparency. Selwa. Osel. The luminous, lucid nature of that vast expanse. You. The you that's looking out from behind your own eyes, your own damn awareness. the awareness of all sentient beings, the innate vitality of aliveness that is shared by all life. Sambhogakaya nature of mind, symbolized by all the many dharmas which point at that, for that, to that. And then, of course, there is the moving. The people, the bugs, the thoughts, the feelings, the sensations, the perceptions. See how that arises in the infinite stillness, not made of anything but the infinite stillness, arises as the shimmer of the luminosity, the sparkle of it, the creativity of the lucidity, the arising, the flow of chi, of the vitality and aliveness. Nirmanakaya nature of mind. You cannot actually separate them. You are them. You are infinite, vast expanse, open awareness, unlimited stillness, katak, primordial purity. Yar that. Don't be sitting here thinking, I'm Joe and I see that. Yar that. And yar the awareness, the awakeness, the seer that is that sees itself, that is thinking, that sees the thoughts, looks out from behind your own eyes, the seer, the awareness. Aware of infinite, open, vast expanse stillness, aware of the multiplicity of the arising, moving, vanishing, recognizing itself as nothing other than that, arising in infinite open awareness, emptiness, vast expanse, unnameable, unknowable, dissolving into that, not a single thought has substance, weight, or duration. So when it says here the three modes of Buddha being, essence, nature, and responsiveness. Essence is Dharmakaya nature of mind, infinite, open, vast awareness, stillness. Its nature is to be aware. Lucidity, luminosity, all these words are used to point at it. Like my finger pointing at a bell will never ring. One of these days it's going to work. But the bell will ring. All these words are symbols. Look where they point. Don't get caught in the word. Responsiveness, creativity, arising, the play of karma across time and space. Nirmanakaya nature of mind. See that? So that's the first line. Yeah, this chapter we have to go slowly or it doesn't make a damn bit of sense to anybody. The second line, the five modes of being. 5 aspects of primal awareness. Remember the chapter talking about original oops? The beginning error, the original oops was the disassociation from the experience, where you separated experiencer and experienced. And that separation evolved into separating the infinite open, luminous, vital, alive, awake awareness in all its creativity from itself into 3. So singularity divides itself in 2. This is duality, original oops. And once something starts dividing, it just keeps going, which divides itself into 3, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, which divides itself into 5, the 5 families of the Dhyani Buddhas, which is the next pattern we will look at. Each pattern is a method of pointing. The pattern doesn't ring. What it points at rings. So follow the patterns to where they point, just as the pattern of the 3 jewels. Infinite, open, unchanging awareness. Vital, luminous, lucid, with the creativity of all phenomena arising and dissolving in and as infinite, open, luminous awareness. It really doesn't divide into 3. We just somehow do that. Just as the experiencer and the experience are not really separate. We just, think they are. You think you're having an experience. You're having a thought. Or rather, usually the way we do it is we think we're having some perceptions. I see a microphone, I see a text, I see some trees out there, I see some people here. Or do I? My eyes are stimulated by light. The rods perceive shapes of light and dark. The cones apply color, perceive color. But I interpret those sensations in a chakra here. The tsa come in the eyeball. Well, actually, they're extending outwards, but they come in the eyeballs, and they go up and around through a chakra here, where naming occurs. As the chi flows through the wheel-shaped pattern here, naming occurs by experience. Do I have anything here you've never seen before? Because if I were to hold up an object, which I don't actually, you had never seen before, I should remember to carry one. You would not be able to name it. So you would nonetheless name it. For an object it resembled. We do that. So perception, an activity occurs here, in me, in my chakras, also in mind. Because as long as I am here in a body, I can't separate mind and body. So I have an action of perception. I see people. I see this really oddly shaped object that I keep thinking I'm going to bump into or knock over with my elbow. And because I've seen objects that look like that before, I call it microphone. Could be a ray gun. I wouldn't know if I'd never seen anything like that before. So perception is an active process. You tell yourself a story. I'm going to bump into this. I'm going to knock it over. About your sensations. And then you have feelings about the story. I could tell myself how wonderful and beautiful this microphone was. It's actually a lovely made, beautiful brass antique. I like it a lot. Of course I won't bump into it. I have a completely different feeling than when I think I am going to bump into it. Right? But it didn't change. The story I was telling myself changed. All the stuff out there, the way you experience it is in you, not in it. We are changed by our experiences, are we not? How'd you get to be the person you are today? You had experiences, didn't you? From the time you were a baby on. You're made of the stories you made up. And you are now making up stories according to who you have become as a result of stories you've made up. There is no way to separate yourself from your perception of phenomena, both inner and outer. We call the stuff we perceive with our sense organs and then name and tell ourselves a story about outer. It really isn't. But we call it that, just as we call our thoughts and our feelings inner. So the stuff we tell, the mountains, the trees, the other people, we call outer. But really, if you will take a moment to notice, you're made out of the phenomena that you're making up. You're phenomena. You're a pile, a heap of phenomena. There's nobody in there separate from the phenomena. When you actually see this as it is, experientially, you will enter the stage of one taste. You can't do it on purpose, but know it intellectually so that the experience has permission to arise. So we've taken it back to the singularity of Kuntu Zangpo, Kuntu Zangmo, primordial Buddhahood. And we've seen how it divides in two by our separating ourselves from our experience and having an experience, rather than simply being an experience. And how that divides into three as we separate out the infinite, open, vast expanse of stillness which has never known movement from its luminous, lucid, awake awareness, from its creativity of its creations. And so we think there is a Buddha here and us and there and all the gods in the middle. Oops. Now the 5 Buddha families is what we did we printed out those little mandalas so you'd have something to look at to make it a bit easier. You may want to write on this to label it. In general, the red color is the lotus family. It is symbolized by Opame, Amitabha, and is in the western direction. And let me know when you've got that. Want me to repeat it? The western direction, red in color, so you might want to put a W there so you know, is symbolized, the red color.
Yeah, but for sure, those are two different types of reds.
It's the long sides.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. The symbol is a lotus flower. The symbol is Opame, in Sanskrit Amitabha, which itself symbolizes light beyond compare, the infinite, luminous, clear light nature of natural mind, the lotus family. The yellow is the Ratna family, the jewel family. It is usually drawn as a yellow diamond or a diamond shape for the symbol. The archetype is Ratna Sambhava. The symbol is the wish-fulfilling jewel, which is a legendary jewel which arises anything that is wanted effortlessly for any sentient being it encounters. It has no desire to do that or desire not to do that, for it is not sentient. It is simply its nature to do that. This is the southern direction. It symbolizes the richness of the manifestations of phenomena, the richness of texture of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions, the utter bliss state of that recognition. In the East, and here we have I couldn't find one that had the colors as it's the way the lineage here uses it. So in the East where you see blue, in this pattern it should be white. And that's Vajrasattva, Kata, primordial purity. So we have the lotus family, which is passion, warmth, love, lust. We have the jewel family, which is the richness of texture of phenomena, which is the dance of the arising and vanishing as no thing and nowhere. We have the Vajra family in the East, white in color. Primordial purity. Kata. Mirror-like wisdom of equanimity. For a mirror, when it reflects an image, it doesn't care what that image is. Flowers are doggy doo-doo. Happily reflected, no difference. The mirror of equanimity. In the north, green in color, is Amogosiddhi. This symbolizes the arising of ordinary and extraordinary cities that arise at the stage of one taste. This is the all-accomplishing wisdom, which arises in Bodhisattva as Bodhisattva and accomplishes the enlightenment of all living beings, so that all sentient beings of the three realms arise as all Buddhas of the four times. No difference. So Bodhisattva and Guru Yoga and Refuge turn out to be the same thing. Who knew? In the central direction, which is dark blue in color. I hate nominal aphasia. Somebody say the name of the central Buddha.
Vairocana.
Thank you. Is Vairocana. I always like having a scholar around for when my brain skips.
Let's give him somewhere near.
Blue in color.
What is the name of the family in the north?
Akshobhya.
Akshobhya.
And Amoghasiddhi.
No, sorry, Amoghasiddhi.
Karma family.
Karma, or no?
Karma family.
Karma family, yes. Action, karma. Action and result. The central family is infinite, vast, open awareness, the spaciousness of natural mind, the family of space. West is fire, south is earth, east is air, north is water. Did I reverse that?
Yes.
North is air, east is water, yeah, and the center is space. This is a pattern which points. This is not a thing in and of itself. It is a pattern which points to how natural mind arises and dissolves in each moment, and how you are that. I find this is the hardest chapter, number 7, to teach to Westerners. There's another chapter later on that's the hardest one to teach to Tibetans. We trip over different things. I'll point it out when we get there.
And why is this difficult for us?
Because for many of us, the pattern of the Buddha families is very foreign. So to first get the pattern and then see where it points can be time-consuming. Now, some old practitioners who've been doing this for a while are familiar enough with this pattern not to trip over it. Just as some Tibetans who have traveled around the world from a young age don't have trouble with the chapter that bothers Tibetans. It's cultural. This pattern is not in the Western culture, but it is in the text, and it is useful. And it ties in a lot of things. Your relationships, your emotions. And it is the pattern of how to work with emotions. So working with emotions is part of this teaching. Do be aware that the 3 modes of Buddha being, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, and the 5 modes of being, Lotus family, Jewel family, Vajra family, Karma family, and spacious space family, are all completed and perfected naturally in the luminous intrinsic awareness of the here and now, which is you. We're not talking about something in the sky that you pray to. We're talking about your own mind, your own Buddha nature. Don't be separating yourself from this. The essence of total presence, indefinable by any term such as color, shape, or other attribute. The total presence of the here and now, not as a thing, not denying thingness. The totality of that does not hold, is not contained in characteristics. The Dharmakaya, inherent radiant emptiness, is the light of the Sambhogakaya. The Dharmakaya's apostrophe S, inherent radiant emptiness, luminosity, is the Sambhogakaya. It's not there's a Dharmakaya and the Sambhogakaya. Sambhogakaya describes Dharmakaya. There aren't three jewels. So don't be worshiping a ruby, an emerald, and a diamond. The unimpeded spontaneity of the medium in which all things manifest is named Nirmanakaya. It's you. When we say tulku, the word tulku means Nirmanakaya. So today you just all found out your tulkus. And you don't even need a throne. The three modes are explained figuratively like this. Okay, we're getting into analogies again. Remember, they don't ring. They clank a bit, but they don't ring. The Dharmakaya may be thought of as a crystal mirror. The Sambhogakaya is its reflectiveness, the clarity, the ability to reflect, which a mirror has and a piece of basalt doesn't. Brilliant, clear, shiny, all of these characteristics of the mirror. The Nirmanakaya is the inside the mirror. I used to carry a mirror here to show you guys. Anybody got a pocket mirror to hand? That's good enough.
I might do. I can't guarantee though. I think.
Yeah, good enough. I had one in here. It's done the thing that things do with me. Look inside the mirror. See the depth of the reflection? Remember when you were little, a tiny baby? You thought there was a world in there? And you'd sometimes try to stick your hand in to get something? Remember showing a mirror to a kitten for the first time? And it hisses at the other cat? Or your puppy barks? Inside the mirror, that other world, Nirmanakaya. The shininess, the reflectiveness of the surface means Sambhogakaya, is called Sambhogakaya. The mirror itself, it being an object, is called Dharmakaya. This is an analogy. It goes only so far and no further. Why, thank you. Oh, yes, it's a good one. Yes, I like it.
A very sexy lady on a broom flying through the sky.
It will work well. From the first. Your mind, everybody's mind, the minds of all living beings, all sentient beings, have existed as these three modes of being, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. If one is able to recognize this spontaneously, it is unnecessary for one to practice even so much as a moment of formal meditation. The awakening to Buddhahood is instantaneous. We call those chikchawa. They're rare. In all my years of traveling and translating for my teacher, which is getting on towards 50 now, once we saw a chikchawa. Once. In Marin. Want the story? There was a woman, and she had a dream. Now, this woman was the usual American mix. I think she might have been part Malaysian and part Danish or something, as Americans are. But all her life she'd been meditating shine. Just, basic mindfulness meditation that she'd gotten off a tape on TV or somewhere. And she liked it. So all her life, and she was in her 40s, she'd sat and done that every day. Wasn't trying to get anything out of it, just resting in mindfulness. And it's an American thing. A lot of people do it. Here too? So you know what I'm talking about. Then she had a dream. And in the dream there was a man. And the man touched her head with his hand. And she experienced total enlightenment. She wasn't exactly a Buddhist or exactly not a Buddhist, like some of her people had come from a Buddhist country, Thailand or somewhere, and then the other half hadn't, and she wasn't particularly religious. But she knew what enlightenment was. She'd been raised with the concept. And she experienced enlightenment in her dream. And then she woke up at the end of the dream and couldn't quite remember what that was like, but remembered that it had happened and remembered the man. So she's like, okay, that's kind of a weird dream. I wonder who that was. So, some weeks later, goes on to the back burner. She goes on about her life. Some weeks later, she's walking past a bookstore. And there's this big book like this with lots of tonkas in it. So that happened to be recently printed in those days. And it was in the bookstore. And it was open to a page. And she does a double take as she's walking past. That's the guy from the dream that touched my head that I got enlightened by. So she goes into the bookstore and says, please, can you tell me who that is in that picture, that painting? And the bookstore, well, that's Guru Rinpoche. And she's like, okay, Guru Rinpoche. Now I have a name. Maybe I can find this guy. She doesn't know from traditional Tibetan Buddhism or anything. A couple of weeks later, she's going to the grocery store, and there's a little notice up on the bulletin board at the grocery store saying that Wangdor Rinpoche, who's my teacher, will be teaching in a bookstore on Saturday or Friday night or whenever it was. I don't remember. And she's Wangdor Rinpoche, Guru Rinpoche. Maybe they're relatives. Maybe he can tell me how to find that guy. I'll go to the teaching. So she goes to the teaching, and Rinpoche is teaching Tsiktsumnadeb, the 3 words that strike the heart by Garib Dorji, base Dzogchen text. And she gets it. And she comes up to us after the teaching to thank Rinpoche. And, tells him a little bit about the dream and how this happened and, what she is experiencing. And, very wonderful. We've never seen her since, never heard from her again. There was no need. She got it. After she, went on, Rinpoche and I are looking at each other going, Chikchawa, they're real. It's like a unicorn a mythical unicorn had just come up and talked to us. So it is possible. I just have never seen another. However, if by any chance any of you did completely and fully get what this was pointing at, if not, if you kind of sort of understood it, which is different, then keep practicing. From the first, people's minds have existed as these 3 modes of being. I just read that. In this introduction to the 3 modes, they are defined separately. In truth, my heart children, do not fall into the error of believing them to be separate or belonging to different continuums. From the beginning, the 3 modes of being are empty and utterly pure. Understanding them as a single essence, that is the union of radiance and emptiness in all its playful creativity. Conduct yourself in a state of detachment. Questions so far? Yes.
This symbol with the elements, is that the bardo of becoming and dissolving in every moment? Is it linked to the bardos?
Everything's linked to everything else. But this is an image I found on the internet that had close to the right colors. And it was linked to the Dhyani Buddhas. I'm not sure how this particular image links to the bardos. Other questions? Someday I'll have a proper mandala that fits this text. I'm sort of talking to some artists or somebody, or I'm talking to people who are talking to people who are talking to people. But so far I don't have that, so I'm just grabbing something that you can see because I thought this wasn't going to work for people for whom it was new if they didn't have something solid to look at and hold in their hand and take notes on. Yes?
Why are there different versions of this? Also in the Bön tradition, they also change some colors.
Yes.
And I think they get enlightened anyhow.
You want my funny theory on that or the traditional answer?
Well, both.
Okay, traditional answer is because it's been passed down by different lineages for the sake of different types and cultures of sentient beings. My personal answer is, most of this got memorized. And then lamas got old but kept teaching. But that's just my personal theory. That was a joke. So actually all the patterns work. And they all symbolize slightly differently the same thing. So it really doesn't matter which one you use. But you probably want to pick one and get familiar with it. Doesn't have to be this one, because they're all pointing at the same thing. Other questions?
There's an online question.
Yes, please.
From Ina, and she asked, how you could know that this woman got it,
Because my teacher is remarkably enlightened and has ngoshe, and I trust his knowing. It felt like it to me, translating for her and talking with her, but he was pretty sure, and I trust his opinion. I wouldn't have quite trusted my own opinion if he hadn't had that opinion. But I do trust my teacher. I don't always agree with my teacher, culturally. For example, he does not eat any chicken, but I do. Whether chicken is edible or not, we disagree. So yes, we have disagreements on little cultural stuff. But I trust him completely on the stuff that matters. Make sense? But I still eat chicken. Any other questions? Guru Yoga is a thing that Westerners often become confused by. Because you don't have to agree with your teacher on everything, like whether or not to eat chicken or seafood. Where you have to trust them is where they're pointing, not whether they have pointy fingers or square fingers. Does that make sense? Anyway, are there other questions before I go on? The triad, the tripod, three-legged stool, nice and stable, of essence, nature, and responsiveness, of infinite open awareness in all its luminous and lucid vitality, dancing with the play of creativity arising and vanishing as infinite open awareness, never departing from infinite open awareness. No thing in nowhere, alive. Corresponds to Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. Understand that these three are the mystic union of emptiness and radiance. Conduct yourself in a state of detachment. Further, since the primal awareness of self-existing total presence manifests everything whatsoever, you, infinite open awareness, vital and creative, and all the stuff, the phenomena, the thoughts, the feelings, the perceptions, all of that, the mountains, the trees that you perceive, the perceiver that perceives it, everything whatsoever, innate Buddha nature. This awareness is the pure being of the Creator. Not an old man with a beard making a world and then throwing people into it because he got mad at them. You are the creator of your reality, of your perceptions, and your personality is nothing but responsiveness to those perceptions. And this itself is Berotsana, I'm pronouncing it Tibetan, Berotsana. Infinite, open, empty, central direction. Blue in color, the patterns we talked about. Since it is unchanging and unchangeable, stillness we also called it. It is the pure being of the immutable diamond, Vajra family, Vajra Sattva. Primordial purity, Katak, unshakable, unchangeable, mirror-like wisdom. Since it is without center or circumference, it is the pure being of boundless light, Opame. The luminosity, the clear light nature of the Dharmakaya isn't in a place. It doesn't shine from a source to a recipient. Opame, light beyond compare. Since it all is also the jewel that is the source of supreme realization and relative powers, it is the pure being of the fountain of jewels, Ratna Sambhava. By renunciation, by not wanting more all the time, the siddhi of the wish-fulfilling jewel arises. Since it accomplishes all aspirations, it is the pure being of the fulfiller of all ambition, Amagasiddhi. These Buddha deities are nothing but the creative power of total presence. And this is where we have the mandala of the pattern and use it to point. Questions? Can you feel that pattern and how it points? The primal awareness of total presence is a mirror-like awareness. Because of the manifest clarity of its unobstructed essence, a mirror reflects with clarity both confusion and wisdom. That clarity is the mirror-like wisdom of equanimity, where you do not shove away being an idiot and confused and ignorant, and you do not grasp after wisdom and knowledge, but simply let the arisings arise as they do and let the subsidings subside as they do, without a separation between the arisings or the subsidings. And it don't matter none. It is the awareness of sameness because it is all pervasive. The clear light nature of vitality is not bigger here or smaller there. It is the discriminating awareness because the entire gamut of diverse appearances is manifest from its creativity. It is the awareness that accomplishes all action because it fulfills all ambition. It is the fulfillment of satisfaction. It is awareness of the reality continuum, the Dharma Dhatu, which simply means Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya is one thing. Because the single essence of all aspects of awareness is kata, primal purity. Not so much as an atom exists apart from these, which are the creativity of intrinsic awareness. Feel the dance. Feel yourself as infinite open spaciousness. Alive with the incomparable light, where the sun has gone behind the sunset, bright beyond compare. Feel the light of love and aliveness and liveliness, and the light which loves the liveliness in infinite open awareness. Feel the blissful satisfaction of the fulfillment of all desires of all life, of being utterly content in the here and now as it is right now, right here, without needing to fix, repair, or achieve anything whatsoever. Feel the equanimity, where confusion and wisdom arise as the dance. Happy, sad, all feelings, all sensory perceptions, and all stories arise as no thing in nowhere, and therefore need not be preferred one over the other. Feel the accomplishment of all Buddhas of the four times, which fulfills all ambitions, the enlightenment of all sentient beings, just as it is utterly natural, always present. No need for striving. Infinite open awareness, utterly vital and creative. Dancing in Bodhicitta, fully accomplished enlightenment of all life, where all sentient beings arise as all Buddhas, and there are no further wishes to be fulfilled, and hope and fear dance as will-o'-the-wisps in the sunbeams, with nothing to grab and nothing to shove. And you are this, neither more nor less. All life together, dancing with the multiplicity of phenomena, singularly, all of it, no thing in nowhere. This is the pattern of the 5 Buddha families. In the pattern of the 3 jewels, in the pattern where neither duality nor singularity can be separated from each other. And all phenomena arises and dissolves, and the moment of arising dissolves, and no thing occurs. Feel it. Perceive it. Let go of it. No grabbing. You'll squish it. Are there questions of this pattern? Yes.
I ask myself, why not focusing on the inner, what you call the inner awareness. You said before words, the inner open awareness, yes?
I didn't say inner.
Yeah, something like this.
The intrinsic open awareness.
Intrinsic open. Why not focusing on the intrinsic open awareness instead of all the information of all the other stuff?
Because that is limited.
Why is that limited?
Shine, stillness, dwelling in peace, resting in stillness. It is a beginning meditation, but it doesn't go to enlightenment, for it separates the stillness, the intrinsic open awareness, from all the other stuff. And you can do that and have everything. In Mahamudra, we begin with Shine, where we do focus for years on that intrinsic open awareness. Don't call it inner, because you're immediately separating inside from outside, which is an oops. Simply call it intrinsic. The stillness. One rests there for the purpose of counteracting one's obsession with the moving, on account of what'd you think about all day today? What'd you focus your attention on since you got up this morning? Stuff, right? Job, family, bicycle, traffic, what you needed to get done, your to-do list, your laundry, your clothes, your pleasures, the book you're reading. That's what we do all day. We obsess with phenomena, the moving, stuff, all the other stuff. To break that obsessive compulsive disorder, to treat that, we spend a time, often a year or two, in the path of Mahamudra, simply practicing Shine, up to 12 years. Simply focusing our attention on the infinite awareness of stillness. We achieve in this way a certain peace of mind, and the phenomena which is ourselves, our personality, by the continuous repeated experience of the stillness as it is, change our shape and become stiller. This is the practice of Shine. But after a certain amount of time, it is necessary for a student to move from Shine, resting in stillness, to Hlakdong, direct seeing as it is. This requires the practice of Trultra Naljor, the yoga of dancing stillness. When one focuses on the stillness, the infinite open awareness, which doesn't come and go, which is always there, utterly still, completely open, no thing, nowhere. one learns exactly what the moving is, so that one ceases to mistake the idea of stillness for stillness. Because the idea is moving. It comes and goes. Sometimes you're having that idea, sometimes you're having an idea of supper. So you learn to separate the stillness from the moving, and you no longer can fool yourself and try to hold a bit of the moving still, such as the idea of stillness, the feeling of stillness, or even the perception of stillness. This is very important. Once that has been accomplished, and you can rest for quite a time sitting in stillness as stillness, and you yourself have become quite still and peaceful, then you have to practice Trultra Naljor. And I'll give you those instructions when you're ready and ask for them. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Other questions? I think you're Mahamudra.
You think what?
You might be Mahamudra rather than Maha'ati.
Probably, yeah.
Kargyu rather than Nyingma.
Yeah, I think so.
Good. They're both wonderful. The Mahamudra teachings I have were given by the 16th Karmapa privately to Wangdor Rinpoche and Zigor Rinpoche. And at some point, Wangdor Rinpoche passed them on to me, and I have them written down. Very beautiful. So it's direct Karma Kargyu line. And I just gave you the Shine part of it, but not the Lakthong. Lakthong may happen naturally. If it doesn't, I'll drop kick you into it. But not until you've spent a while with the Shine and are comfortable there. And are no longer fooling yourself by trying to maintain Shine on the idea, the feeling, or the perception of infinite open awareness. Okay? And if I'm not around to do that, there are other wonderful Mahamudra Karma Kargyu Lamas, Drupa Kargyu, Drigan Kargyu Lamas. You will encounter one in the right time.
You mean in Sopema? What?
I mean everywhere. The world is full of good lamas. Man, there's a few bozos.
It's Kali Yuga.
Yeah, well. And sometimes the bozos are really good lamas. You can't tell. Other questions?
Where does this kick in the practice? I see it, I see the colors, I see everything.
Remember me telling you to feel something a minute ago?
Yes.
And talking you into that feeling with poetry?
Yes.
That's where. You feel the pattern and then use the pattern to point. Yes?
No, what you ask, I can feel it when what you told, then I can feel it.
Yes.
But not when I look at it, but when you feel, what you told me.
Okay, well, this is getting recorded.
Okay.
Listen to it a few times and then you won't need the words. It's just another finger. Other questions? I'll do you and then you.
About this Trekchö, did this one time.
Mm-hmm.
Often in my practice I notice, I encounter a pattern where I think that practice should be like that. That you practice and then at some point you have this tipping point and from that point you're done. And I know it's...
Thwap, 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 thwap.
Yeah. I notice it, and I know my practice at least is I have to do it moment by moment, again and again, again and again, looking at it, letting it be whatever it is
Mhm.
in the openness. What
Me too.
What makes a difference
Between what and what?
between the people who actually do have this one moment path and the people who have this moment by moment path?
But there isn't a difference.
No, there isn't a difference.
Did I manage to answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
And you had a question.
Yeah, you said in the Mahamudra, you first do Shine for a long time,
Yes.
and then you do the Lakton.
Then you do Trultra Naljor. Yoga of moving stillness or dancing stillness.
Yeah, and how is it in Dzogchen?
You start in Trekchö. In Mahamudra, you go into the swimming pool by getting in at the shallow end and walking deeper. In Dzogchen, you just go down to the deep end and jump in. You get wet either way. That's an analogy. In Dzogchen, we start with Trekchö. We start with... Trekchö is very much like Laktong, direct seeing. We start there. So there's a Dzogchen oops that half of the Dzogchen students make. When they are trying to stabilize their Trekchö, they grab some bit of the moving and try to make it hold still and get really frustrated because they try that for years. I mean, we've all done it. In fact, I think every Dzogchen practitioner falls in there at some point and tries to stabilize either the idea of open awareness in all its luminous, lucid creativity, or the feeling of it, or the perception of it. Because they didn't first do that practice in Shine where you separate the moving and the stillness. So they get some subtle bit of the moving and they try to make it hold still. And of course it won't. So they get really pissed at themselves and think they're doing it wrong. And then all sorts of things happen. And then, if they're lucky, they go to their teacher, and their teacher falls off their throne laughing, which is what teachers do when students get stuck in that one. You're trying to stabilize the moving. Is it working? Tibetans are not a gentle, well, Kampas are not a gentle culture. And a lot of the lamas are Kampas. Hiding a dead fish in your bed is a really good Kampa joke. Other questions? Yes.
Can you tell us something about the five Buddha family related to the tantric path?
When you choose a consort, you frequently choose from the family which is a direct polarity to yours. So frequently someone of the Vajra family will choose as a consort a lotus. I just told you something related to the tantric path.
Okay.
As you requested.
I think I get this something from this answer. I think I get something from this answer.
Okay.
Me something from
Understand that it is extremely important for a man, should he choose a consort, to pick someone who has done more practice than him, to teach him. It's only the second time after that happens that a man might teach a woman. First, you got to get taught. So usually everybody's first consort is a lot older than themselves, if they're doing salon. And it's their second one that's younger. And the third one's usually the same age. And it is not picked. You don't choose a consort for beauty. You choose a consort for their impeccable ability to do those practices. It's not about the personality. It's not about the form of the body. It's about the practice. There are very few trained in these practices now. But there are a few. Not me. Not my forte. Not going there. However, there is a woman now in Tuscany who could train a young man. She's in her 80s. But she's quite good at it.
Go ahead.
They have good wine in Tuscany.
Yeah, we know her.
Yeah, you probably do.
Yeah,
She teaches yoga.
yeah.
Now, how her husband would feel about that, you'll have to work out with him. She has a young husband.
I was the first, so that meant it.
Other questions? I joke with you about consort practice, but it's actually something that is taken quite seriously. However, Tibetans also have fun sex and don't see anything wrong with it. They're not Puritans. So if a Lama propositions you, gentlemen or ladies, it's probably fun, not consort practice that they're suggesting. In which case, it's up to you whether you wish to have fun in that way with that person or not. Don't do it if you don't want to. Don't refrain if you do want to, unless it's a monk. It's 7 years bad luck to break a monk's vows. At least. Usually the worst of the bad luck is the first 7 years. Everybody I know who ever got together with a monk or a nun, oh God, yeah, I watch them for those years and it's like, oh baby. And nobody can do anything about it. It's just going to be like that. I've known one or two Tibetan monks who have fallen in love and married. And I know one Tibetan nun to whom that happened. Poor baby. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. So, please, young women, find out if they're a monk, and not by asking them. Ask their teacher or someone in charge of them. Young men, gentlemen, if you find yourself in Asia, there's not many nuns over here. Please refrain from bothering them. And if they bother you, run. That's something that we older women in the Dharma really should be telling the young girls to avoid the problems that have arisen interculturally. It is Tibetan custom that if a woman goes to a man's room alone, it means she wants to have fun sex with him. So if you go to a Lama's room alone, that's what you are signaling in that culture. If you want private teachings, bring a girlfriend of the same practice level. Or meet them in a cafe or on a bench somewhere. In the garden. in the kitchen. Otherwise, there may be a misunderstanding arising on their part as to why you're there. And you think you're there to get your question answered or some teachings or some individual time from the Lama. And that's not what the Lama thinks you think. So please be aware of this Tibetan cultural thing and behave accordingly. Guys, same thing for female Lamas. If you go alone to their room, you are signaling that you are open to have an advance made at you. Bring a friend. Or that's what you mean to be signaling.
I was thinking that too. Sending alone to the room every morning.
Delivering coffee doesn't count. I'm talking about going in and sitting down and doing the whole shebang. And I'm a Westerner, so I'm not in the West following Tibetan culture. But I'm real careful when I'm with Tibetans, and my Tibetan students really respect this. Now, with the yogis, it's different. But even there, if I'm over visiting, say, Lama Tsering, and I mean, we go way back, we've been friends forever, but he's a monk now, he will always leave his door open, and the other yogis will wander in and out. Just politely so that we don't feel embarrassed with each other. Culture. Please don't have sex with a Tibetan Lama you don't want to have sex with. Guys and girls, because some of them are gay. Please go right ahead and have sex with a Tibetan Lama you do want to have sex with, if they're not a monk. But don't go yelling they forced you after. Be aware that if you're going to do it, you're doing it because you want to. And that's my standard lecture. Because we have had trouble in the Tibetan community with Westerners with misunderstandings. It's okay. When I was a kid, there was a rumor going on that if you slept with a Lama, you'd get enlightened.
Of course. That's how it works.
Yeah, well, we all tried it. I can actually refute that rumor. But it was a lot of fun trying. Testing it out. Going to different lamas and saying, hey, I heard this rumor. Is it true? Which is a great opening because, they're going to say, try it and see. I'm just joking with you now. I think this is as far as I'm going to get tonight. It being on for 10 o'clock. What time do we start tomorrow?
11.
Good. We will be finishing the Dhyani Buddhas and moving on to Song 8 by the end of tomorrow. We're actually close to the end. But there's this really nice part that we'll do again. Are there any people who will not be able to come tomorrow? So the few of you who can't come tomorrow, feel most free to come up this evening and let me hit you over the head with a vase, which is standard tradition. The way this works, if you're unfamiliar with it, is we gently clunk your crown chakra, and you feel, into this vase has gone the magic of the 3 jewels. Body, speech, and mind of all Buddhas. So stretch your imagination and think that there's Buddha in my hand. And when Buddha touches your crown chakra, it goes in. And you notice that you are in fact Buddha. But just to make sure, we pour a little bit into the palm of your hand and you drink it. Just to make sure. And you feel your Buddhahood enter that way too. And you notice that you are enlightened and always have been. Of course, you forget about that soon anyway, like you always do. So those who won't be coming back, come on up.
If you want to offer a katak, there's kataks behind the stove. And if you want to offer an envelope, there's envelopes around.
Now, what happens here? Does anything happen between now and tomorrow when I come back? Can I leave stuff?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, that's nice. It's just easier than dragging it back and forth. Oh, thank you. Oh, Lamo. Yeah. Really best friend. She loves Coca-Cola, and I often, when I'm in town, take her out for a Coca-Cola.
I sponsor at
Yeah.
sometimes. So
It's really good. Oh, nice.
and
Would you like a little?
of course.
And